So yesterday, Sony San Diego Studios had their first feature premiere based on Diamond Dynasty, and watching off of the feature premiere, I've sort of come to the conclusion that SDS just saved Diamond Dynasty. So obviously, that's a big claim, but we still have a lot that needs to come out. They're doing another feature premiere on content of Diamond Dynasty the night of release on the Thursday, which is March 23rd. So we still have more to learn, but they did provide an incredible amount of information in this feature premiere. First, I'm going to talk about some miscellaneous things that they've mentioned in the past and reiterated in this video and was in the tech test. The first thing was DH and Diamond Dynasty. DH and Diamond Dynasty I was looking forward to last year and then ended up not being in MLB The Show 22, which was a bummer in my opinion. But I personally love it. I was so sick of pitchers coming up to the plate in big situations in ranked where, you're playing for World Series and it's the bottom of the eighth, you have 2 outs, or I wouldn't say the bottom of the eighth, but let's say the third inning, and you have a really good starting pitcher and you can't take him out, right? And you have your pitcher up with 2 outs when in the major leagues during the same year, that doesn't happen. So it was just really frustrating for me, in my opinion. So I'm really happy that we're getting the DH in Diamond Dynasty. This also adds value to cards with monster hitting stats and horrible fielding. Like for example, my MLB The Show 22 God Squad, my final team, 99 Gary Sheffield. He has insane hitting stats. I think his lowest hitting stat is 122. But there's no spot for him because there are better cards and he doesn't have good fielding. So if there were the DH, he would have been my DH. Now in MLB 23, he can be my DH. Other guys that come to mind are David Ortiz, Frank Thomas, so on and so forth. There are definitely more examples, but it gives more value to those players because you can throw them in a DH, and it also just adds another starting spot to your lineup. Another thing about the DH in Diamond Dynasty, and was in the tech test, is there are going to be players that have designated hitter primary positions. Now, they did not mention this in anything, but it was in the tech test where, for example, 99 Edgar Martinez, he had a designated hitter primary. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a screenshot because the tech test is over and I can't go in, but it said designated hitter primary. So there are going to be cards that have a primary position at designated hitter. And I do remember putting him at third base, which was his primary position in MLB The Show 22. And it did give him the defensive penalty for secondary position, which is interesting. I think they should at least give you one position that was their primary position outside of DH where you don't get the penalty, but I guess not. Another thing that they mentioned is two-way players, and they finally worked the right way. This is another thing I just don't understand how it wasn't perfected in MLB 22, especially with Shohei Ohtani as the cover athlete. So we can finally have Shohei Ohtani as a starting pitcher and a designated hitter in the same game. When you finally take him out off the mound, he'll stay in a DH just like in real life. And obviously, this will add a ton of value to two-way players. I don't know how many two-way players there are going to be besides Shohei Ohtani, but if there are two-way players, it'll add a ton of value. Now we're going to talk about sets and seasons. So sets and seasons is going to be the core way, no pun intended, on how Diamond Dynasty works. So basically, every season is going to last 6 to 8 weeks, and in every season there are 99s, so there will be 99s available day one that aren't the live series collection. The timing of the card being released will determine the set. So basically, anyone who is released in season 1 will belong to set 1. Anyone released in season 2 will belong to set 2. Very simple to understand. We also have the core set, which will be in every single season. And the cards that will be in the core set are live series cards, live series collection rewards, Negro Leagues cards. And if I had to guess, they did not mention this, but I would assume the Legends and Flashbacks collections would be a part of the core collection, or the core set, sorry. If they aren't, I think that's quite frankly BS, but anyway, I would assume they are, and I think that that's going to make the live series collections probably the most important cards in the game, and I hope they aren't trash like they were in MLB 22. Another thing about seasons is certain cards from certain sets will not be eligible for certain modes in certain seasons. So for example, in Season 3, the cards you can use Set 2, Set 3, and Core. You cannot use Set 1. So basically, when a season happens, that set will be available for that season and then the season after, and then you can still obtain those cards, but they will not be able to be used in certain modes. For example, in ranked seasons, you can only use cards from that season. So let's say it's Season 4. You cannot use any cards from Set 1 or 2 in ranked seasons. You can only use cards from Set 3, Set 4, and Core. Personally, I don't really know how I feel about that. I mean, we'll have to wait and see until the game actually plays out. I think that the last season, they're going to have every set available. And, I don't really know how I'm going to feel about cards, quote unquote, expiring. But now the season restrictions will not apply to every game mode. They will only apply to ranked seasons, and they will apply to some events, not all, some conquest maps, not all, some mini seasons, not all, and all the other modes I haven't mentioned, they don't apply. So Battle Royale does not apply with seasons at all. So my opinion on sets and seasons, I love this. Now, it might be a hot take, and I know some people might be a little concerned because this is a complete overhaul of the entire mode. But this is why I think SDS just saved Diamond Dynasty. In MLB The Show 22, I think that the game was so stale, so quick, and it just became super boring. With these seasons, I think that MLB The Show 23 will prevent what happened in MLB 22. It won't be boring. Every 6 to 8 weeks, it's basically like a new game, excluding the core series. Not only will this make the game more fun in the way that you don't have to restart, but you get access to certain cards in certain periods. I still haven't really formed an opinion on that, but I think that it is really cool that the game is getting a huge refresh every month and a half to 2 months, which is just keeping the game fresh. It was really boring in MLB The Show 22, and content was really stale, so I'm happy they're doing this. The next thing we're going to talk about are captain cards. And captain cards, they're coming into the game after Derek Jeter, the captain. As a Yankees fan, I'm very excited that he's in the game. But, anyway, this is a completely new feature to Diamond Dynasty, and I really like it. So basically what these captain cards are, these captain cards are specific cards, and they can get captain abilities. So SDS will release cards that are captain cards, and it's like a captain series. And what captains can do, they can activate they can activate boosts for your team depending on the captain type. So for example, they showed a Miguel Cabrera card where you need Tigers hitters on your lineup, and if you do, you get boosts to, I think, contact and power. They showed another example with Willie Mays, where if you have a certain amount of 1950s and 1960s hitters, you will get contact and power boosts. There are multiple tiers to this, so you can do it as much as you want. I really, really like this. Out of all the captains they've shown so far, they've shown Aaron Judge, they've shown Byron Buxton, they've shown Miguel Cabrera, and they've shown Willie Mays. So that means that it's not just going to be live series captains. They're also going to be doing different types of captains, like eras, for example, the Willie Mays. One other thing they mentioned is that each team will have a captain day one, so they're not going to have like a captain on half of the teams, and the lonely Oakland A's don't have a captain. Like, they're going to have a captain on every team. They do have some constraints in ranked seasons, though, or just Diamond Dynasty in general. If you have a hitting captain in your lineup, they cannot be taken out until the 7th inning, just because it wouldn't be fair if you have a captain on your team giving a huge boost and you just take him out right when the game starts, because he's not as good as the other players on your team. It makes sense. They also mentioned that each team will have a hitting captain and a pitching captain, So you'll get 2 captains, one for hitting, one for pitching. They mentioned it could be a starter or a reliever. And they also mentioned that there's no restrictions for starting pitchers and relief pitchers when you're in the game. So you can take them out whenever and you will still have your boost active. Now, if you have multiple captains on your team and they're both hitters, you can only activate one at a time, obviously. But you will have one active hitting captain and one active pitching captain all the time. My thoughts on this, I think they're very cool. They added incentives to theme teams. I hope they add a variety to the captain types, though. They did show Willie Mays with like the time period captains, but I hope they don't just do team captains or time period captains. A couple ideas I came up with outside of those two would be card series captains. So for example, let's say you have a captain card that is a prime card. So you have a prime card, and if you have 11 prime series cards on your team gets a boost. Or awards. Let's say you have an awards card as your captain. Then if you have like 11 awards hitters, then all your hitters will get a boost. That could be a captain type. That's just an example I came up with. Another one could be attribute types. Let's say you have a captain who is known for their power. Let's say Adam Dunn. I don't know why I mentioned him. He's just the first name that came to my mind. But he's a good example of a guy who dominates at power but isn't really good at anything else. Maybe you could have like a power captain, and if you have certain cards with power, then your whole team gets a boost in something else, or maybe a boost in more power. These are just ideas. I hope that they do a bunch of different captain types and not just the 2 they mentioned in this feature premiere. Moving on to mini seasons. Now, mini seasons, oh my goodness, my opinion on mini seasons for MLB 22 is very strong, but we'll get there. So for MLB The Show 23, mini seasons has added some new features. So there's a classic mode, which is basically just how mini seasons was in MLB The Show 22. There are theme seasons, so you can build your team based on season rules and do different mini seasons compared to the regular one. The user interface got completely revamped and it looks gorgeous. I just want to say that right now. It looks gorgeous. And they also added away custom stadiums to the teams in the mini seasons. So like the London team, the Liechtenstein's team. I don't know if I just butchered that, but they have their own custom stadiums now. Just something cool. Now, my opinion for mini seasons in MLB The Show 22, it was just the biggest example of wasted potential. It was a great addition for offline players coming into the game. It's a great mode where you can grind as much as you want and get rewards by playing 3-inning games against the computer. It was great for offline grinders. But we got to the game, the first season for mini seasons in MLB 22. We got an 85 Evan Longoria for beating mini seasons once. Horrible card. So I was like, all right, whatever. It's the first card. We'll see how this goes. Second season, they didn't even add a new card. They didn't add an exclusive card for the next 4 months or something like that. It was ridiculous. And then they finally added a new card, and then it was a 99 Johnny Damon. Like, wow, oh my goodness, 99 Johnny Damon, such a good card. And then the next card was the finest card they mentioned. I was like, ooh, this could be interesting. We could be getting a really good card. And then we got Willie Adames. So the only reason I played mini seasons was because I wanted to get every card in the game, which I ended up doing for the second year in a row, which future video. But if I didn't do that, why would I play mini seasons? Why would I do it? So I'm happy that they're kind of, I don't want to say revamping it, but I'm happy that they're adding some diversity to it, and I hope the rewards are much better. Next up is ranked co-op. Now, co-op was completely new to MLB The Show 22, so I'll give it a pass for all the technical issues and no rewards because, it makes sense. Like, it was basically like a beta of a mode. For MLB The Show 23, they added rewards to ranked co-op. It's the same system in what is now called solo ranked. Ranked seasons is now called solo ranked, just to determine between the two. Now, the rewards that you will be getting from the path are the same, but the rankings and the system of rankings are different. So you will have your solo ranked progression and your co-op ranked progression. You're going to be getting the same rewards for making World Series or whatever division you're in, but they're two separate paths. Now for the ranked seasons program, so the program where you will get a World Series card from playing innings or tallying stats, that is combined. So that is when you tally stats from both. So all in all, if you do everything, if you make World Series in solo ranked, in ranked co-op, and you get the World Series pack in the program, you can get the World Series reward 3 times every season. That is dope. I love that. It's going to make these World Series cards not insanely expensive. I really like that. Another thing they mentioned for solo and ranked co-op is a cooldown for quitting. Thank goodness. Oh my god, I can't even tell you how good this is for recording gameplays. I'd try to get a debut for someone. Quit. Like, especially for starting pitchers, it's just so annoying because their energy's gone and you got 1 inning with them. But anyway, I really like this because it will prevent people from quitting. So basically how it works is if someone quits in ranked co-op, the game becomes 3v2. The game does not end anymore. It becomes 3v2, and the quitter has a cooldown until they can play online again. The more someone quits, the longer the cooldown occurs. So let's say somebody quits a game, and this is in ranked seasons and ranked co-op. Let's say someone quits a game for the first time. Then they get like a 10-minute cooldown, I think they said it was. Then if they do it again, it'll be longer. And they mentioned that the longest suspension is a full week. That is amazing. Thank God SDS implemented that into ranked seasons and ranked co-op. Now, I'm obviously very excited about the rewards. Ranked co-op is just an electric mode. It is so much fun, but there was no point in playing it in 22. And, once again, you can't blame SDS for having no rewards, but finally having them in MLB 23 is great. I'm a little worried about there still being glitches and a reward path behind the glitches, but I'm less worried because it's the same rewards from ranked seasons. If there were exclusive rewards from ranked co-op and the game was still a mess, just like it was in 22, then I would, it would be a disaster, but I don't think it's going to. Now we're going to talk about programs. So there isn't much here, but they did say when you max out on XP, you will get unlimited rewards. So there's no cap on XP anymore. So the example that they showed was, let's say you finish a program, right? And you're done. Every 25k XP, and this will never end for that season. Every 25, or I don't know if there's going to be multiple programs in one season, but for that program, every 25k XP, you will sort of have this animation that instantly reminded me of NBA 2K locker codes, where you get like a random reward. So there are 3 tiers of rewards. There's silver, gold, and diamond. So the silver rewards you will either get, and I'm assuming they will increase these as the year goes on, but this is for day 1. The silver rewards either 7.5k stubs, 1 ball and pack, or 5 show packs. So obviously, not an insane amount. For gold, either 5 ball and packs or 20 show packs. So, a little better. And then for diamond, you have 50 show packs. Now, the probabilities of each of them happening, I looked at the totals. There are a total of 49 different emblems, I guess that's what you could say. There are 36 silvers, 10 golds, and 3 diamonds. So the probability of getting a silver is 73.46%, gold 20.4%, and diamond 6.12%. So you have a 6.12% chance of getting a free 50 bundle just by getting XP after you've completed the program. One thing I just want to add on here, this is just an assumption that I'm making. I'm assuming that the 99s that are available day 1 are going to be in the featured program. If they are, I think that is great, because programs were also really boring in MLB The Show 22, especially because Team Affinity was not in the game. Speaking about Team Affinity, at the end of the feature premiere, they did it. They mentioned that Team Affinity is coming back, and oh my goodness, thank the Lord it's coming back. No Team Affinity in MLB The Show 22. It just added to the game being so much more boring. It just got rid of the backbone of Diamond Dynasty, in my opinion. It coming back is going to be so good for no money spent. It's going to keep the game fresh. It's going to add a ton of offline rewards. I'm just very excited for Team Affinity coming back. So all in all, I'm very excited after this future premiere. You know, I've said this like 5 times, but I have it in my notes again. MLB The Show 22 was really boring compared to other years. It could have been much worse, but the content was just boring. It really was. I'm very excited for this new system. I think that the seasons will make the game so much fresher. I don't know if that was proper English, but I don't really care. And I'm really looking forward to the next feature premiere, which will go more in depth in the actual content, and that will be the night of release. That'll be March 23rd. The game comes out March 24th on early access. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I've been your host, Nick from Big Ends Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.